Welcome back, episode 2 of the How to Vibe Code an App series. Now, in the last episode, we got the base of our app set up. We have the front end, we've got the Supabase client set up, we have the base route set up, we've got our schema set up. So we've got everything in the code base that we need to get the app started. In this episode, we're gonna get Supabase connected. So I'll go through how we get our database actually connected to our app. Secondly, we're gonna start creating users within Supabase. If the AI did it correctly when we set up our app, I did see that it generated a sign in and sign up page and it has already connected the Supabase client. So realistically, once we connect the database, we should be able to start creating users straight away. And then after that, we should have some sort of profile screen so we can fetch our own information and maybe toggle a few settings if that's necessary for our app. Now, what are we going to be building? For this application, we're going to be building a simple CRUD app. Now, as a vibe coder, you might not know what that means, but a CRUD app is create, read, update, and delete. And that is pretty much the core of any API. Those are the 4 actions that we always take. And for the app idea, we're going to be building a simple directory. So what this means is you guys, once this app is finished, will be able to sign up, post your apps that you build, either vibe coded or apps that you already have. People will be able to come, discover tools, and find your product potentially. I really like the idea of being able to potentially, if this series does well, give you guys exposure for the things that you build and help you potentially find users and even maybe get customers. So without further ado, let's jump in and get Supabase connected. Okay, so this is where we got to with our app at the end of the last episode. Now, we need to get these keys set up, and I'm going to show you how I do it and where we find them in Supabase. But before you get all slick and say, oh, you've shown your keys, I can get access to your database. As soon as this episode goes live, that database will be nuked and I'm going to make a fresh one. To make it clear how it works and how you do it, I'm going to show you the whole process, reveal my keys, reveal my strings, but those will be deleted. So this is Supabase. Just going to sign up. Alright, so when you get into Supabase, you need to create an organization. I'm just going to call it my org, really doesn't matter, and create that. Vibe app Asia Pack, because that's where I am, and then that's all good. Whatever. Now, the important thing to do when you are setting this up is to copy this password, because you're going to need it as your DB password. So I'm just going to put it here for now, and then we will come back to it. Create the project. So now to connect to the database, we've got this nice green connect button. We will click connect. So our env shows both of these up here, but they're named slightly different. Regardless, we need this one and an anon key. So because we're using the Prisma RM, we need these as well, as we can see outlined here, that we need the database URL for the running app, and we need the direct URL for the Prisma migration. So we will just replace both of these. And you can see we need to add the password. Now, luckily, we said that we needed this earlier, so we'll just swap this in like that. And we still don't have our anon key. I haven't done this in a long time. I don't know if we need it. I don't see it anywhere. Let's just check in our app where that is used. I would say that that is the same thing as this. So we'll just drop this up here, and it is a publishable key, and we are prefixing it with next public, which means it's on the client and it can be read by anybody on our website. So if something has next public, it will be seen by the client. Remember that. So if you ever accidentally add next public to a sensitive variable, strip that off, then has no chance of getting into the client, aka the browser where anybody using the website can find it. Alright, now if we start this, we should have our app now. I think we commented out a bunch of stuff last time around. Just need to figure out where that was. Yeah. Now we don't necessarily need this, but the thing that this will tell us is that we are connected to our database, which apparently we are not. And we'll just drop that one off to the agent. So I'm not really sure why that is telling us. Error code in the server components. Is that because do we need to import that from client maybe? Okay, so I tried to fix it with AI and it actually was just fluffing around doing it. So I'll just quickly show you what I did. I changed this to client side for now. I changed the fetch syntax to match what we have over here in this other file. And then all we did was add this check here to make sure that there are profiles before we try and access the profiles. It probably would have figured it out, but I'm just impatient. So I skipped that and this is where we are at. So I think the next step that we need to do is push our schema, which if you remember I said our Prisma schema is what is going to be keeping our code base in line with our database. So when we push the schema, we're telling Supabase we want a table called profile, and it will have those 6 columns that we have displayed in the file there, and they'll be mirrored in Supabase. Should be able to run this one. npm Oh, I see what I did. This is the env example. I need to put this in my actual env. Now we'll do that again. Invalid port number. I really want to be able to get this stuff going without having to manually do it. So I don't actually know what the go is with this because I'm in my projects that have been running for a while. We're still using this method of connection to our Postgres databases. So we'll see what this says. Oh, okay. It's going to be escaping characters. Some characters aren't URL safe, so it's likely that there are symbols within our password that need to be escaped. So it's not a good way to do it because then we're revealing our password to AI. But since I'm not going to be using this string, it won't really matter. So I'm just going to get it to escape it for me, and then we'll be able to connect to it hopefully. So if we take this, it now looks slightly different because it's making the characters safe for a URL. So if we add that there like that, it still doesn't work. Nice. So that still doesn't work. Yeah, the password contains a slash and that wasn't encoded. The slash ends URL authority early. So try again. Ooh, that's looking good. Alright, so that's worked. It wants a name for the migration, so we're just going to say db init. Now we have a migration. This is essentially just like if you understand GitHub, how you have a commit history of what happened, what code was committed. This is the same thing that lives in your code base to say, this is what we did to the database. Then when we change the schema again and we run that command to migrate the database again, it's going to create another migration, and then we'll always be able to see at what point what was changed in the database. Now, this might not make a lot of sense at the start of an app, but when your app starts to grow, you start to understand the importance of being able to have something to refer to as your like source of truth, whether it's your commit history, your migration history. It's never a bad thing to have too much data. So if you can always keep migrating your database correctly, keep committing as you build features, you can always roll back, you can always investigate easily. Just make sure that you're following these good practices, and you'll make things easier for yourself when something goes wrong, because trust me, things go wrong all the time. Now, if we are to go back to our database, we should be able to go and look at the table editor, and we will have a profile table in here. And bang, just like that, we've got an empty profile table. So if we go back to our app again, we want to create a user, which will happen. I'm just going to restart this. We don't need this one. Don't need that. Get a fresh tab and dial this back a little bit, maybe to 4.6. So we want to create our user. Home is an async client component. So that does not like this. Cannot read properties. Now this is why I usually build it with a different version of Next, because all of this client stuff really annoys me. Like, it's just so frustrating to try and work with. But it is the latest from Next, and it's been the latest for a while, so I feel like for this tutorial we should be using this version of Next. I just find it a misery to work with compared to the page router, which is the old, easier way to work. So we'll change it to that, and we can see that we have no profiles yet. So now we've actually got the correct state showing here from our database because we're properly connected. So let's see if our sign-in function works. And I believe once we're signed in with users, they will appear under here. Yeah, so we'll have users here. Come back over here. We'll go BP the dev, sign up. BP the dev at gmail.com. Password 123457. Will it work? Check the email. All right, let's check email. Now I'm going to do this off my other screen because it's in my other. I'll copy the address from my email. Look at that. We have a user. I'll come back here, refresh. Very nice, very sleek. Do we have a profile though? Did it hook that up already? No, so ideally I think we would want it to do this when we create the account. So what we're gonna do, start a new agent, and we'll go to the login form. So we'll say, I just created a user. This should ideally create a profile on success. If that is not possible, propose other options. Now the only reason I said that is, although we could do it in the callback once we get the session to check or create a profile, which is probably what it will do. Anyway, this is a good way to use AI because if you're not super familiar with how it should work, you can always brainstorm, and then a feature that's properly planned out versus just thinking of one solution and just going and doing it is never a good way to build applications. You should always think thoroughly before you execute the plan, because if you just rush into it, it's either going to be shit or you'll have to come back later and change it, which kind of go hand in hand. If it's shit, you're going to come back and change it. So I want this to work in the best way possible from the get-go. The claim is using bare profile in an auth callback route. That's the moment the user confirmed and authenticated regardless of sign up, which is what I said. So this is perfect. When we finish our sign up and the callback happens when we click that button in the email, it says confirm your email address. That will call back to this route. This route's then going to go ensure that the profile exists through this function here. So it's going to get the profile with our ID. If it doesn't exist, it should create one, and if it does exist, it shouldn't create one. Realistically now, if we sign out and then sign back in, or can I even just remove my user maybe? Yeah. So we'll start from scratch, delete the user, sign up, password. I will get the address out of my email, copy that, paste it here. We're logged in and signed up again. You can see that here it called that callback route, which is here, auth callback. So it has called this. Now we need to check that it worked. So we should have a user again. And we should, I'm going to open another tab, we should have a profile. And just like that, we have a profile now. So that's exactly how we want it to work. Whenever someone signs up, we want them to have a profile, because when they sign in and get into their dashboard, they need to be able to see their information. So now when we go into here, if we have a dashboard, don't know if it generated one, you'll sign in as BP the dev. So now username and bio. Yeah, so we have a basic profile in our dashboard. So I'm just going to set my name as BP the dev because that's my handle. I am a developer who loves to vibe code, can never type when someone's watching, and make content. Nice and simple. Save that. Profile saved. Refresh this. And just like that, we have our content. Now that is working very well. You can see that now from just a few prompts, we have a working application with users, with a UI, with a database connected. We've got migrations happening, which is, remember, that's our record of what happened to it and what changed in our database. We have everything here that we need to just start building this. Now this is just episode 2, and in episode 3 we're going to start getting into actually creating the application. So now that we've finished this, we've made a nice amount of progress, we're going to commit this, but first, just as a good practice, you should never commit these to GitHub. But this is an example file which you wouldn't typically change. I just did that by accident. So what we're going to do is forget these changes. This will go back to being null values. You can see because that this .env is grayed out, this will not be committed. That is what we want. That will just stay on our local device, and later when we deploy, I'll show you how to do that. But for now, we'll just say feat connect database and profile. Now that is on GitHub. Very nicely done. In episode 3, we'll start actually building the application and having some more fun, but it's important that when you build an app, you get the fundamentals right, and that's what we've done right here. I'll catch you in the next episode.